Chapter 1. My wife won $500 million in the lottery. That same day she brought her first love home and flirted shamelessly with him right in front of me and our daughter. My in-laws forced me to get a divorce, telling me, the good-for-nothing live-in son-in-law, to get out of their house with my daughter, the baggage. I silently signed the divorce papers. They thought winning the lottery would put them on top of the world. Little did they know, the prize money would be gone overnight, stolen by my wife's first love. And I, as it turned out, was the real billionaire, because every time my wife bought a lottery ticket, she would leave it on the nightstand, and every time I would secretly take a picture of it and then go buy an identical ticket for myself. Just like any other day, I left work and picked up my daughter from school on the way home. On the drive, I received a message from my wife with the location of a fancy restaurant. In the restaurant hallway, I could hear laughter and cheer from inside the room before I even opened the door. When I pushed the door open, I found my father-in-law and mother-in-law were there. Sitting next to my wife was another man. Seeing me enter, the man shot me a contemptuous smirk and pulled his hand back from my wife's shoulder. I remembered him. He was my wife Victoria Bellwether's first love. The dishes on the table were mostly picked clean, leaving only scraps, and the room was filled with the unpleasant smell of smoke and alcohol. I forced a smile and greeted everyone, asking strangely, "Dad, Mom, what's the occasion? What brings you here?" And then there was Ethan King. My father-in-law, who had always looked down on me, was grinning from ear to ear. It's a great day, of course. Our Victoria has struck it rich. I froze for a moment, then looked at Victoria. "Honey, did you win the lottery?" It was no wonder that was my first thought. Victoria, who worked as a teller at a small brokerage firm, only brought home about $7,000 a month. But she had an unwavering habit of buying a lottery ticket every single day. Besides a lottery win, there was no other way she could have come into a great fortune. Finally using your brain. Our Victoria won $500 million, my mother-in-law added, her face beaming with pride. I just stood there, completely stunned. Hearing this, my daughter, Sunny, immediately started jumping for joy. "That's great. Now we can get a bigger house." "I'm rich too, bah." "What are you dreaming about, you little brat? How could my daughter's money possibly be left to you and Sincere?" My father-in-law shot me a cold glance. "This money is for Victoria to have a fresh start. I was blind back then, letting her marry a useless live-in son-in-law like you, divorce her tomorrow, and take this little money-losing baggage with you when you get out." I looked at Victoria in disbelief. "Victoria, Sincere, let's just end it." "The child is yours," Victoria said, her face flushed from drinking. She was nestled in Ethan's arms, looking at me with an air of charity. "As compensation, you can have the house." Tears welled up in my eyes, but I fought them back. I thought back to 10 years ago, when I gave up a promising career in Silicon Valley to stay with her in the second-tier city. She said she couldn't leave her parents, and feeling for her as an only child, I agreed. After we got married, my father-in-law said he wanted to bring me into his business. I invested all my savings into his company to help him get it running. In the end, all I got was the line the investment was a loss. My father-in-law's company went bankrupt, and the nearly $1 million I had invested vanished into thin air. For years, I worked diligently, giving my entire monthly salary to support the household. I was responsible for 3 meals a day, picking up and dropping off our child, and taking care of her parents. I'd practically become a full-time nanny. Last year, my heart gave out from overwork. After surgery, I was laid up in the hospital for 3 months. During that time, my in-laws never visited me once. In fact, because they had lost the services of their nanny, they cursed my name for months. From then on, I was openly and secretly despised by my wife's entire family, who called me useless. Because my daughter was closer to me, she was dragged into it and insulted as well. Words like baggage, jinx, and money-losing baggage were constantly thrown around. "Dad, I want the child," Victoria suddenly said. My heart sank, but it was Sunny who ran over and hugged my arm tightly. I want to be with Dad, my father-in-law sneered, with his poor schmuck self. What kind of good life can he give you? Do you really think he's some kind of treasure? Ethan softened his tone, speaking to Sonny with false sincerity. Sonny, if you stay with your mom and me, Uncle promises to get you into the best private school. No, I just want my dad, Sonny said through tears, clinging to me, her voice firm. For the past 10 years, in this cold and loveless home, my daughter has been my greatest source of emotional support. I smiled with relief and held her in my arms. See, this money-losing baggage is as stupid as her father. Just let the two of them go. A pair of good-for-nothings, one big and one small. It's better to save the money for my future grandson, right, Ethan? My mother-in-law said with a dismissive look. Hearing this, Ethan's smile grew wider as he nodded eagerly, pledging his loyalty. Seeing that her daughter's mind was made up, Victoria didn't bother trying to persuade her further. She got up from Ethan's embrace, walked over to me, and threw a document in my face, her voice icy. This is the divorce agreement. Sign it now, and the house is yours. I stared at the papers in front of me, speechless for a long time. Sincere, you've had it easy in our home for the past 10 years, doing nothing. Giving you an apartment is already a great courtesy, my father-in-law said, holding his wine glass. You're a live-in son-in-law. You'd best not push your luck. I clutched the agreement, frozen. Ever since I married Victoria, I was the one who did all the housework. I was the one who took care of our child. Even when my in-laws were sick, I was the one who stayed up all night at the hospital and paid the medical bills. All these years, all my early mornings and late nights, all my energy and money poured into this family. Was it all so worthless in their eyes? For the last decade, I had endured all the grievances and injustices, telling myself it was what I owed as part of this marriage. I had comforted and convinced myself countless times, until today when they shamelessly shouted, verbally abusing me and my daughter. They even had the audacity to bring another man home, flirting right in front of me and my daughter as if no one else existed. I stared intently at the agreement before me. The house was a 1,600 square foot apartment in the city center. We had pooled money from both our families for the down payment, and I was the one paying the $14,000 monthly mortgage. Given my wife's family's unreasonable nature, their willingness to give me the house was their absolute limit. Accepting it was the best option I had. Chapter 2. What about child support and an education fund? I glanced at the divorce agreement. The clauses were written ambiguously. It looked like they were in such a hurry after winning that they just downloaded a random template from the internet. With a crash, Victoria slammed her glass on the table. Sincere Clark, have you no shame? After I've supported you for so many years, you still have the nerve to ask for child support? I knew it. You've coached the child to follow you and try to extort me. I took a deep breath. Fine, no child support is acceptable. But don't you ever expect Sonny to support you in your old age? My father-in-law shot me an arrogant look. Ridiculous. We have $500 million now. Why would we need you to provide for us? Good. Then write that into the agreement. I nodded. Fine by me, Victoria said with utter contempt. I continued reading the agreement. It says here that under no circumstances can I borrow money from you. So conversely, you can never borrow from us, for any reason. My father-in-law scoffed. With your pathetic prospects and that rotten salary, us borrow money from you? We're rich now, we would never borrow a single cent from a poor devil like you, I nodded. Then let's add this clause. From this day forward, our two families will have no financial dealings whatsoever. Victoria waved her hand impatiently. At it, I gave a cold glance at this group of people, lost in the joy of their newfound wealth. Once the house title is transferred, we'll go finalize the divorce. We have to notarize it first. What if you change your mind and come back to harass Victoria? Ethan interjected slowly. Victoria, as if struck by a realization, agreed. Right. We'll go to the notary tomorrow, get the property deed changed, and the day after is an auspicious day, perfect for getting divorced.
An auspicious day?
I couldn't help but sneer. How considerate. From the notary to the title transfer, everything went smoothly. On the third day, as soon as I arrived at the marriage registry, I saw Victoria and her entourage already waiting at the door, more eager than they were for our wedding.
Hasn't been long. How come you look so old and haggard?
Came Ethan's familiar taunt. I looked up to see Ethan with his arm around Victoria's waist. Standing beside them was a boy, about 7 or 8 years old. I looked at Victoria calmly. Looks like you're about to start your dream of luxury. You even have a son to see you off. You knew all along? Victoria's expression shifted slightly. Your dear first love paid me a special visit. I just didn't believe him at the time. I had indeed met Ethan a few years ago, after Victoria returned from a year-long work assignment abroad. He showed up uninvited and told me all about his love story with Victoria. He even told me Victoria had given birth to his son, but he didn't have the child with him back then. I had held on to my trust in my wife and in our years of marriage. I dismissed him as someone just trying to stir up trouble between us. I never thought that Victoria's year away on a business trip was actually spent giving birth to another man's child, and at that time our own Sonny had just been born. While I was frantically taking care of our sick daughter all by myself, she was on the other side of the ocean, entangled with another man, getting pregnant and having his child, as if our family didn't exist at all. Sincere, this is all the ambition you'll ever have, Ethan said, pulling Victoria closer. I told you before, she was always going to be mine. Looking at Ethan in his custom-tailored suit and Victoria, with a new diamond ring on the hand she had linked with his, I suddenly wanted to laugh. They really did make a picture-perfect couple. After finalizing the divorce, I went straight to the supermarket. I bought fresh shrimp and king crab, and picked out some of Sonny's favorite fruits. She hadn't eaten much at the restaurant last night after everything that happened. Today I was going to make it up to her with a proper feast. Just as I had the food ready, my daughter came home from school, holding a large bouquet of sunflowers. Dad, congratulations on our new home. Sonny looked up at me with her little face and pushed the flowers into my arms. Seeing her innocent smile, my eyes grew hot, and I hugged her tightly. Dad will definitely give us a better life. This was the first time the two of us, father and daughter, had a happy meal together. Before, the best things always had to be saved for Victoria. From now on, in our lives, she was nothing. I went back to my hometown to tell my parents about the divorce in person. The old couple had worked for most of their lives at a live streaming hub for influencers on the outskirts of the city. Only when I got to the hub did I find out the owner had absconded with the funds, leaving over 1,000 employees with unpaid wages. The massive facility was bankrupt and sealed. Looking at it all, an idea suddenly sparked in my mind. I was going to take this place over. Chapter 3. It was a sudden decision. As soon as he heard about it, my university classmate Leo Jennings came to find me. This guy was now a partner at a venture capital fund, and was very well connected in the business world. Old Clark, this live streaming hub is a mess right now, but it has huge potential. What do you say? Interested? Leo got straight to the point as soon as we met. I laid out my ideas for him. After listening, he immediately offered his full support, even wanting to invest as a shareholder. With his help, all the paperwork was quickly taken care of. In truth, I'd been planning to take over this live streaming hub for a long time. My parents had worked here for most of their lives, from its beginnings as a processing plant to its later incarnation as an e-commerce base. I grew up watching this place rise and fall. Every time I passed by, I thought about how I would one day restore it to its former glory. My parents knew this industry inside and out. With their help, I felt even more confident. My parents asked me where I got so much money. I just fudged it and told them I took out a loan. But the truth was, I had also won the lottery just like Victoria. Except I won more than she did. Double, in fact. $1 billion. Chapter 4. Victoria had a habit. Every day she would place the lottery ticket she'd bought on the nightstand in our bedroom. I knew this woman all too well. I knew that if she ever struck it rich, the first thing she would do is divorce me. This kind of sudden wealth wasn't necessarily a good thing, so I didn't tell anyone, not even my parents. To focus on my new venture, I moved into an apartment near the e-commerce hub. Sunny transferred to the best and most expensive private school in the city. Because of her excellent grades, she was admitted on a full scholarship. Otherwise, knowing the Bellwether's stinginess, there was no way they would have been willing to spend that kind of money. Sunny was very supportive, saying that living at the dorm would help her concentrate on her studies. The night before school started, I booked a private room at the finest hotel to treat my parents and daughter to a nice dinner. But just as we reached the entrance, we ran into Victoria and her family. My former mother-in-law, Eleanor, sneered, Well, if it isn't a small world, you didn't sell the house just to afford one meal here, did you? Grandpa, Grandma, I won the top scholarship. Speaking of which, Uncle Ethan's son had a single-digit score on his entrance exam. It cost hundreds of thousands in sponsorship fees just to get into our school. What's a sponsorship fee? I've never heard of that before. You ill-mannered thing, Eleanor screamed, pointing at Sunny. If you little bitch dare to bully my precious grandson at school, I'll kill you. I hadn't wanted to involve the children, but hearing Eleanor's words, I couldn't hold back. Whose legs are you planning to break? I said with a cold laugh, stepping in front of my daughter. I suggest you mind your own business. I was picking Sunny up from school yesterday and saw him being picked up by several godfathers. They were all calling him son so affectionately. Anyone who didn't know better would think they were his real dads. Ethan, you're not raising someone else's kid, are you? I knew Victoria's private life was a mess. After Ethan had come to see me, I started paying more attention to Victoria's social life. I discovered she was involved with quite a few people behind my back. It wouldn't be a surprise if that child wasn't even his. Unexpectedly, at my words, Victoria's face changed. What nonsense are you spouting? Ethan was with me in the delivery room. He watched me give birth. When she was giving birth, what was I doing? I was on the other side of the world, coaxing my sick daughter to take her medicine and go to sleep. For all these years, Victoria's monthly salary never exceeded $10,000. She spent half of it on her own fun outside and the other half on lottery tickets, clothes, and makeup. You must have worked really hard to raise this kid to be so plump and healthy, I continued, directing my sarcasm at Ethan, ignoring Victoria. Humph, my mom is amazing. She told me she can make money just by lying down. Ethan's son suddenly shouted. Mom always takes me to stay in hotels, and I can buy whatever I want, I laughed. Make money just by lying down? What a talent out of the mouths of babes. Out of the mouths of babes, ignoring the ugly expressions on their faces, I led my parents and daughters straight into our private room. Chapter 5. We had just sat down in our private room when we heard shouting from the room next door. Our family's mood instantly improved, and we even ordered a few more dishes. Over the years of working for others, I had used my spare time to teach myself a great deal about new media operations, and even earned several e-commerce operations certificates. After taking over the live streaming hub, I reviewed all the accounts and data. I found that the place had a lot of potential. The previous owner was just too reckless and had gambled all the money away. The first thing I did was pay all the back wages in full, adding a 3-month bonus as compensation. Most of the streamers and operations staff who had left returned when they heard the news. I gave a retention bonus to all the employees who stayed and restructured the management system. In less than half a month, the entire hub was back on track. My dad helped me contact former business partners, and relying on our integrity and reputation, we quickly brought back all the original advertisers. In the first month, the company broke even. In the golden month of October, I took several of our newly incubated influencers to a live streaming sales festival, where we signed contracts with several major brands on the spot. By the end of the year, our net profit had already surpassed $200 million, and suppliers started approaching us directly. We selected a few reliable manufacturers for deep collaboration to build our own supply chain. By the following spring, the company had doubled in size, becoming the largest live streaming hub in the region. As the business grew, I always stuck to one principle: pay every cent of tax owed. It's better to earn a little less and do things the right way. My university classmate Leo often brought investors to inspect the facility, helping me expand my network of resources. One day he brought another group, and to my surprise, Ethan King was among them, trailing behind a wealthy-looking woman. He seemed just as surprised to see me and said with his usual sarcasm, well, a man who can't even control his own wife thinks he can manage a company this big? Is it because Mr. Jennings pities you and is propping you up?" I didn't bother arguing with him. I calmly addressed the other investors in the group. "Whether it's good or not is something you can judge after you've seen it. I trust you'll see for yourselves. Please come in." What's with the act? I really don't see what's so great to look at," Ethan sneered. "Mr. King, if you don't wish to tour the facility, we can leave now," Leo said, looking at the wealthy woman beside Ethan. The woman shot Ethan a placating glance and said apologetically, "Mr. Jennings, you're joking." I led them into the operations center. In the vast space, hundreds of live streaming rooms were operating simultaneously, with real-time data scrolling across each screen. Dozens of operators and streamers were at their posts, the entire scene humming with organized efficiency. The constantly refreshing sales figures on the big data screen left everyone in awe. Leo clapped me hard on the shoulder. "Well done," I smiled without saying a word. In reality, I had learned a lot of this from Leo, including these operational models. But I knew better than anyone that you can't rely on others forever. To truly establish myself in this industry, I needed real skills. Seeing the jealousy in Ethan's eyes, I suddenly found it amusing. No wonder this man was entangled with Victoria. They were two peas in a pod. He was already married to Victoria, yet he could openly flirt with another rich woman he was cozying up to. Were the two of them competing to see who could be more unfaithful to the other? Chapter 6. The next morning, a white Bentley pulled up at the company entrance. Victoria Bellwether stepped out of the car. She was dressed in a couture suit, wearing red-soled high heels, looking impossibly glamorous. But the condescending expression on her face was the same one she wore when she and her family humiliated me. "I hear your business is doing well?" She leaned against the car door, her tone still lofty and blunt. "I took out a lot of loans," I said, reluctant to give her too many details, afraid she'd ask to borrow money. "How much did you borrow? Do you want me to help you pay off your debts? In the future, how about I support you and the child?" she said, her tone suddenly softening. Her words sent a shiver down my spine. I quickly waved my hands. "That won't be necessary. We're already divorced. It's best we go our separate ways. Sincere, don't be so stubborn. I'm much better off than before. I have a mansion in the city center, a luxury sports car, and I'm a shareholder. I can really support you both. I can support myself and my child. I wish you success," I said, turning to leave. "But it's a unicorn company," she said, stopping me. "We invested $300 million. It's going public soon." I finally understood why Ethan was with that wealthy woman yesterday. If I wasn't mistaken, the unicorn she was talking about was that woman's company. It seemed Ethan planned to use her money for one last big score. "I'd advise you to look into that company more carefully. I hear they're not doing well financially." "What are you talking about?" she snapped, her eyes wide. "We're already preparing to restructure. It'll be listed in 3 years at most. If a project that bad truly had value, would the founder be so willing to sell it off?" "You should watch your own back," I said with a cold laugh. "I heard Ethan is already up to his ears in debt to loan sharks." "Who told you it was loan sharks?" Victoria argued defensively. "It's a legitimate private loan, $200 million. Do you really believe he can pay that back?" Seeing the flicker of doubt in her eyes, I knew she was starting to have second thoughts. After Victoria left, I felt an inexplicable sense of frustration. That woman was still so indecisive. This time she was probably going to be ruined by Ethan. Even though we were divorced, the thought of her being scammed left a bitter taste in my mouth. I couldn't sleep that night, so I drove to a quiet bar. Growing up, I had always been the well-behaved, rule-following kid. After I started working, I tried to be a good husband. When I had a child, I had to be a good father. This time, I just wanted to let loose for once. I, who normally never touched alcohol, ordered a bottle of the most expensive red wine. One glass in, and I was already feeling it, but thinking the wine cost over $400, I was determined to finish it. Halfway through, I started feeling sick. Stumbling out, I bumped headfirst into someone. The other person cried out as we both fell to the ground. As I shakily sat up, I saw the well-dressed man in front of me. His wig was knocked askew, revealing a large, shiny, bald pate. I quickly tried to get up to help him pick up his wig, and only then did I realize it was none other than Ethan King. "You broke piece of trash? You dare to bump into me? Are you looking to die?" He raised his hand and slapped me across the face. Chapter 7. The slap sent stars flashing before my eyes, and years of repressed anger erupted in an instant. I lunged forward, swinging my fist right at Ethan's face. "You worthless scum, you dare hit me?" Ethan didn't back down, throwing a punch at my face. The two of us ended up in a brawl right at the bar's entrance, and even the security guards couldn't pull us apart. Half an hour each other at the police station. The alcohol had mostly worn off, and only then did I get a clear look at Ethan's pathetic state. His suit was torn, his wig was askew, and the arrogant, elite demeanor he usually projected was completely gone. This supposedly successful man, who lived in a top-tier mansion and drove a luxury car, was slumming it in a bar late at night. It seemed all the glitz and glamour was just a facade. Brawling in public was not something to be proud of, and I wanted to resolve it quickly. We were both at fault. How about this? $10,000 for medical expenses and we call it even? You think $10,000 is enough to get rid of me? Who do you think you are? Ethan sneered. I took a deep breath. Then you name a price. I'm going to make you rot in jail. Ethan glared at me. I stared at his wig and suddenly smirked. You started it. If anyone's going to jail weekly. 50,000. Not a penny less. This is extortion, I said, looking at the police officer. I already offered a settlement. Now that he's refused, please handle this according to the law. Ethan was about to curse again when Victoria burst in. Honey, are you okay? She threw herself at Ethan, her face full of concern. The sight of it made my stomach turn. Victoria turned to him. Fighting in public at your age after scolding me. She turned to the police officer, bowing and scraping, saying it was all a family misunderstanding. Watching them walk away, arm in arm, to their car, I suddenly felt like laughing. I was the little man. Ethan was nothing more than a two-faced clown. Standing in the cold wind, I suddenly felt a wave of emptiness. But the next day, when I walked into my company and saw my employees bustling about, all those negative emotions vanished. How others lived their lives was their business. All I needed to do was focus on my own career. Rolling up my sleeves and working hard was the only way forward. I was so busy for a while that I almost forgot about all that drama. But the world is small, and the people you want to avoid most are the ones who haunt you like ghosts. That Friday afternoon, as I was getting ready to pick up my daughter, the door to my office was suddenly pushed open. Victoria rushed in, looking haggard. She glanced around nervously before closing the door. She looked furtive, as if she had done something wrong. I sat back down in my executive chair and asked her exasperatedly, "Shouldn't you be at home, cooing over your pretty boy, Mrs. Bellwether? What are you doing here? I heard your business has been doing really well lately. Could you lend me some money to tide me over?" Chapter 8. I had just taken a sip of coffee and nearly spit it out. "Didn't you just borrow $200 million? Did you spend it all already?" $200 million is nowhere near enough. I'm working on something big, she said, as if it were perfectly reasonable. I was so shocked I couldn't help but raise my voice. "Are you insane? Do you have any idea what you're doing?" "What do you know?" Victoria shrieked hysterically. "The company is about to go public. I've hired professionals to plan it. I'm just $200 million short." "Ugh, you wouldn't understand.
Just lend me the money.
You want money, is that it? I've got $2,000 in my bank account. Want it? I sneered. You're rich now, so stop pretending. Are you afraid I won't pay you back? Don't worry. I'll definitely pay you back double later. Even though she was asking for a loan, the look she gave me was still full of disdain. I don't have any money. It all went to paying off loans. Look at the divorce agreement. It's written clearly we owe each other nothing and we will never lend each other. It's all your fault for having such a wonderful son. Thud, my mother collapsed to the floor. By the time I got my mother to the hospital, Victoria was long gone. The next day, I took the security footage straight to the police. This time, her denials were useless. She ended up paying $200,000 in compensation and signing a letter of guarantee. Just as I was leaving the police station, I ran into a large group of the Bellwether family. Sincere Clark, you ungrateful wolf. My former mother-in-law shrieked, rushing at me. You ate our food, lived in our house, and now you're trying to ruin our Victoria? I knew it. You saw how happy Victoria and I are, and you got jealous. You're trying to harm us on purpose. I'm going to teach you a lesson today. See if you dare. Ethan rolled up his sleeves, about to come at me. I took a couple of steps back. Just then a familiar voice called out, "Stop!" It was Leo. He had the police hold the Bellwethers back and then said to me urgently, "Mr. Peterson from the Venture Capital Fund is coming for an inspection tomorrow. He specifically asked to see your project. Get back and prepare. Now ha, a good-for-nothing who relies on connections." "What's so great about his project?" Victoria sneered. "Slandering a business partner has legal consequences," I warned. Eleanor's face twisted with rage. "What's so great about you? I'll have someone sabotage your stupid project and see how you embarrass yourself in front of Mr. Peterson." I immediately turned to the police officer. "If anything happens to my company, they're the ones behind it, you damn beggar. I'll tear your mouth off." Eleanor lunged forward again. "Take them all in," Leo commanded sharply. Chapter 9. Leo drove me back to the company. On the way, I told him everything about the Bellwethers' recent harassment and threats. "Leo, I'm genuinely scared they'll try to sabotage the company. What should I do?" Leo thought for a moment. "Mr. Peterson is coming to inspect tomorrow. His fund is currently looking for live streaming e-commerce projects. If he likes what he sees, we could get his investment. With a capital backer, the Bellwethers wouldn't dare to be so reckless." "Is that good for the company?" I really didn't know much about investment. "Of course. You're growing so well right now, all you're missing is a powerful backer," Leo said. "But bringing in an investor means giving up a portion of your shares. You need to think it over carefully. As long as it's good for the company, I'm willing." I nodded. With Leo's help, Mr. Peterson's inspection the next day went very smoothly. They were very interested in our operational model and began discussing investment intentions on the spot. Major media outlets scrambled to report on it, and the company's reputation soared overnight. I was escorting some journalists into the company when my dad suddenly ran in looking panicked. "Son, it's terrible. Sonny has been kidnapped by the Bellwethers." "What?" My father handed me his phone, his hands trembling. Arthur Bellwether sent a message. He said you have to give them $500 million or they'll hurt the child. I immediately called my former father-in-law's number. "Dad, what are you doing?" "She's your own granddaughter. They had been pestering me for money for some time, and after I refused, they tried to cause trouble, but I had thwarted their attempts. I never thought they would stoop to this." You have only your useless, ungrateful self to blame," Arthur snarled through gritted teeth. "We gave you a chance and you didn't take it, so don't blame us for being ruthless." I suppressed my rage. "Don't you have your wonderful son-in-law Ethan now? Why are you tormenting a child? He's a con artist. He's the reason Victoria is lying in a hospital bed right now. If you don't want anything to happen to the girl, you'll bring the money." "Okay, I'll go get the money. Just don't hurt her." After hanging up, I noticed the reporters were still filming. Chapter 10. "I'm sorry, something urgent has come up. We'll have to reschedule the interview," I said apologetically. "Don't worry," one of them comforted me. "The police?" About to go raise the money, the police arrived. They asked me to call Arthur back. The maximum single transfer is $500,000. I'll have to go to several banks, so you'll have to give me some time, I said, feigning panic. Bullshit, use a corporate account transfer. I need 100 million today. Or you can wait for a body. I was surprised he knew about that. Okay, I'll do it right away. But can you let me say a word to Sonny? I clutched the phone tightly. Just one sentence, Dad. I'm okay, don't worry, help. Who are you? My daughter's screams came through the phone and my heart shattered. Location traced to the old garment factory in the east of the city. Our team has it surrounded, a police officer reported to me promptly. I have to go, I said, stamping my feet in desperation. Half an hour later, the police car stopped in front of a dilapidated factory building. Suddenly, I saw several officers carrying out a man covered in blood. As they got closer, I saw it was Arthur Bellwether. I rushed over and grabbed him by the collar. Where's Sonny? What did you do to Sonny? They took her. The loan sharks, Arthur wheezed. You have to pay my debt or they'll kill me. You animal, you handed your own granddaughter over to loan sharks? I punched him in the face and several officers quickly pulled me away. Just then my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I don't care who you are, I roared. I have cut all ties with the Bellwether family. What you're doing now is kidnapping. Release my daughter immediately, or I'll make sure. Every single one of you dies in prison. Hey brother, we were forced into this too, the person on the other end said, surprisingly polite. Don't worry, we'll send the kid back right away. An hour later, I saw Sonny running towards me, safe and sound. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I hugged her and burst into tears. Chapter 11. That evening, my parents made a huge feast and our family had a proper meal to calm our nerves. Just as we were enjoying the happy atmosphere, several employees rushed in. Mr. Clark, the Bellwether family is live streaming online, bad-mouthing you. I opened my phone and saw it was the top trending topic. In the live stream, the Bellwethers were weeping and wailing, claiming that I, the ungrateful live-in son-in-law, had turned on them the moment I got rich. When the Bellwethers treated me like a workhorse, why didn't they say I was heartless then? I sneered and immediately had my PR team arrange an online press conference. I held up the divorce agreement and read it out word for word. Reason for divorce: the Bellwether family considered me a poor loser, a man who married into their family and unworthy of their precious Victoria. The internet instantly erupted, with netizens cursing the Bellwethers for being snobs. The agreement clearly states that Victoria Bellwether won $500 million in the lottery and wanted to sever all ties with me. Who knew that she would now be scammed out of everything by Ethan King? The comment section was flooded with messages of support for me. The house was bought jointly by both our families, but they insisted it was a handout to me. They refused to pay a single cent in child support, and they even kidnapped my daughter. I released the security footage. The online community was furious, condemning the Bellwethers for their inhumanity. So today I am officially declaring I am cutting all ties with the Bellwether family. If they ever dare to harass me again, I will call the police after this storm. I had finally shaken off the burden of the Bellwether family and could focus on leading my team to build our empire. 3 years later, the company's market value exceeded $10 billion, and I became the city's youngest internet tycoon. One day after a board meeting, I encountered a familiar figure in the underground parking garage. Victoria Bellwether looked much more haggard. She stood in front of my car, hesitant to speak. Sincere. Her eyes were red. Do you need something? I asked, my expression calm. I know I was wrong. Victoria lowered her once proud head. Ethan scammed me out of all my money, and my project went bankrupt. And so, can we start over? She asked, tears in her eyes. I really know I was blind. Do you know why I was able to make a comeback? I chuckled softly. Speaking of which, I should probably thank you. Because every time I saw you buy a lottery ticket, I would secretly take note and buy the same one. So you see, I won the lottery too. The realization dawned on her, and she looked at me in disbelief. So you also won 500 million? No, I won 1 billion. Watching Victoria's eyes go wide, I felt an indescribable sense of satisfaction. The greatest revenge is never about seeing your enemies grovel at your feet. It's when the people who once looked down on you are no longer even worthy of looking up at you. Dad Sonny's call came from a distance. She was waving at me enthusiastically. As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror at Victoria's gradually blurring figure. The man who was once a humble son-in-law for love had finally lived his own magnificent life. With a lovely daughter and parents who adored me, I, the kept man, was standing taller and stronger than anyone. The end. My wife, Victoria Sterling, is a newly crowned A-list actress. Everyone knows she loves me to death, insisting on holding my hand wherever we go. No matter how busy she is with filming, she'll catch a red-eye flight just to have breakfast with me before heading back. I was near her film set for an interview assignment, so I thought I'd stop by to say hello. I didn't expect to overhear her assistant gossiping in a low voice before I even walked in. It's been a nightmare. Vicky spent all night with Ethan Hunt at the hotel, and I had to get up in the middle of the night to deal with their noise complaints.
Wow, that manager Ethan really has some stamina, huh? Like 10 times in one night?
I cleared my throat, interrupting their conversation as I walked over. The assistant, Lucy, greeted me with an awkward expression. Sincere, you came all this way to visit the set? I'm here to close a deal on a major scoop about an A-listers affair. I'm meeting my team here, so I thought I'd stop by and see Victoria. Ooh, another juicy story. I wonder if it's a good one. I nodded with a slight smile. Of course, the story is good. It's about your boss. Chapter 1. Lucy led me toward the dressing room. As we reached the door, I suddenly stopped. I could hear faint, ambiguous moans coming from inside. Lucy gave me an embarrassed smile. They're probably just running lines. Let me go tell Vicky you're here. Just a moment, Sincere. A minute later, a fully dressed Victoria Sterling opened the door and threw herself into my arms. Honey, what are you doing here? Is this a surprise for me? I lifted my head and my eyes met those of Ethan Hunt, who was emerging from behind her. He had a smug smile on his face and was in the middle of zipping up his pants. Victoria, I came to give you a surprise, but you gave me a shock. I pushed her away, taking an imperceptible step back. The cloying, post-coital scent clinging to her was utterly nauseating. Ethan turned back to grab a jacket and draped it over Victoria's shoulders, his hands lingering to squeeze her arms. My star, you've only got 5 minutes. You have to be on set for the walk-through soon. He shot me a contemptuous glance before walking away. I followed Victoria into the room. She smiled and showed me her phone. Honey, a paparazzo sent me a message. He said he's about to break a huge story about an A-listers affair. He says it's explosive. I'll forward you his contact. You guys should connect. I own a cultural media company, and I wasn't originally interested in celebrity gossip. But after Victoria became famous, she said she knew a lot of paparazzi and could get me big scoops, which would be far more profitable than my standard media work. So I opened a department specifically for her, and this tip she was talking about was the first piece of business she had ever brought me. I smiled and nodded. Okay, you talk to him first. You're in the industry, so he won't try to fool you with fake news. I'll get involved once there's enough evidence. She rubbed her hands together and gave me a nod, then planted an excited kiss on my cheek. Looking at her, a wave of bitterness washed over me. She was nearly 30 but still had the personality of a child. Perhaps I had spoiled her too much over the years. I wondered if she'd still be this excited, and curious if she knew the paparazzo who contacted her was my burner account. That night, I checked into her hotel but got a separate room. Unexpectedly, she came knocking on my door in the middle of the night. The moment I let her in, she dropped her bathrobe, revealing a semi-sheer slip underneath. Honey, you must have missed me so much. She pounced, pushing me down onto the bed. The heavy cloud of her perfume made me want to gag. I immediately put a hand up to stop her. I have to prep an interview draft tonight. The deadline is tight. She sat up sullenly, a bit embarrassed. Then I'll just sit here and keep you company while you write. I promise I won't disturb you. Just then, my doorbell rang. She got up to open it. It was Ethan Hunt. What are you doing here? Babe, I just had to see you one more time before bed. Otherwise, I'll be all alone in my room, unable to sleep. I tactfully got up and went into the bathroom, peeking through the crack in the door. Victoria glanced quickly in my direction, then initiated a passionate kiss with Ethan. They were locked in a deep embrace, and Ethan's hand was already sliding up her slip. After a moment, I deliberately made a loud noise before coming out of the bathroom. They broke apart instantly. Victoria, her face flushed, explained, "Honey, Ethan said the director needs to talk to me about something. I won't disturb you anymore." With that, she quickly vanished from my sight. I calmly picked up my phone, switched to my burner account, and sent her a message. The A-lister and her lover were kissing right in front of her husband. Got photos and video. It took a long time for her to reply. "Send them." "Let me see." I typed back with a cold smile. "Name your price, then I'll show you." Chapter 2. I left early for work the next day and didn't return to the hotel until the afternoon. Victoria suddenly came to find me, brimming with excitement. "Honey, I'm done with filming for the day. Let's go visit our alma mater this afternoon. We haven't been back since graduation, and it's such a rare chance for us both to be in the same city." I put down my laptop. Seeing her radiant smile, I couldn't bring myself to refuse. I remembered the first day of college, how our eyes met, and it was love at first sight. I had treasured her like a gem, spoiling her like my little princess ever since. The little chili dog stand we loved just outside the campus gate was still there. "Boss, extra hot sauce, my husband loves it," she said. She personally fed me a bite. I took one mouthful and was seized by a coughing fit. I coughed until tears streamed down my face. Something I once loved so much now felt impossible to swallow, so bitter it made me frown. We then went to the cherry blossom grove on campus. It was the peak of the season, and petals carpeted the ground. This was where we first held hands, first hugged, first kissed. Our names were still carved into one of the trees. Sincere Morgan loves Victoria Sterling forever. Victoria Sterling belongs to Sincere Morgan for life. After years of wind and rain, the marks were still there but faded and blurred. "Honey, let's carve new ones," she suggested. I shook my head. "No, let's not damage the trees. The past is gone. Even if we recarve it, it will never be the same. Better to let it fade away." We wandered around until dark. I suggested we visit the faculty building to see her favorite professor, the mentor who had been instrumental in her success at the talent show. Her eyes lit up. "Oh yes, we talk on the phone all the time, but can you imagine how surprised she'll be to see us in person?" She excitedly grabbed my hand and pulled me forward, but after a few steps, her phone began ringing insistently, like a summons from death itself. Her expression changed. She let go of my hand, walked a few steps away, and answered quietly. "I'm with my husband. What do you want? Babe, I miss you so much. I haven't seen you all afternoon. I feel awful. Are you drinking?" "It's so early. How are you this drunk?" "Babe, you forgot what I'm like after I've been drinking, right?" "Even better. If you don't come back, I might have to find someone else to blow off some steam with." I stood there quietly, watching her walk back towards me with an apologetic look. "Sorry, honey. Let's go another time. The director needs me for something. I have to go back." I said nothing, just turned and led her away. I wasn't sad, just disappointed. I had wanted to revisit the path we had walked together one last time before it all ended. But it seemed even that final chapter could not be written. In the car, I received a message from Ethan Hunt. He sent a disgusting, explicit photo of his crotch. "How's that? Feeling a little inadequate? I got these pearl implants just for her. Can you imagine her screams later? The thought of that sound is just music to my ears. She ditched me to be with you today, so she's getting punished. Wanna see?" My hand holding the phone started to tremble with rage. Victoria noticed my strange behavior and immediately asked, "Are you okay?" "Don't speak," I blurted out instinctively. Her voice instantly conjured the images Ethan had described, and I was filled with the urge to tear him to pieces. Chapter 3. Sure enough, that night, Ethan Hunt actually placed his phone by the bed and gave me a live-streamed performance. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just silently activated the screen recording function, then pulled the covers over my head and went to sleep. The next day, my flight back was scheduled for the evening. During the day, Victoria invited me to the set to watch her act. She also took the opportunity to put on another show of our loving relationship for everyone to see. There was a kissing scene today, where the male lead was supposed to forcibly kiss her. I sat calmly on the sidelines watching. Ethan Hunt was sitting right next to me. My phone suddenly buzzed with a message from him. "I told you she'd be punished for yesterday. Watch this." I turned to look at him and saw him smiling as he held up a small remote control and waggled it at me. My stomach clenched. We were all adults. I knew exactly what that thing was. On set, the scene progressed to the point where the male lead pushed Victoria against a wall and kissed her hard. At the same instant, Ethan slammed his thumb down on the button of the remote. I saw Victoria let out a sharp cry, her legs instantly clamping together as she shot a glare at Ethan. The male lead, surprised, asked, "What's wrong? I haven't even touched you yet." Victoria was already past the point of answering him. She just shut her eyes, bit her lip hard, her face flushing a deep crimson. Ethan gave me a victorious look, then stood up and walked over to her. "Sorry, director. Victoria might be feeling a bit unwell. I'm going to take her for a break." And just like that, he scooped her up in a bridal carry and walked away, right under my nose. Everyone on set turned to look at me, their eyes filled with pity. I let out a self-deprecating laugh. You'd have to be blind not to see what was going on between those two, yet she still thought she was hiding it so well. I got up and started walking in their direction. A few steps later, I got a call from Ethan Hunt. His voice was on the other end, but he wasn't talking to me. "Babe, you like being kissed forcefully, huh? Is this enough for you? Ah, you're awful. My husband is still here. How dare you if he finds out? I'll have you replaced immediately. Don't play hard to get. I know you love the thrill. That last jolt felt good, didn't it? Bet you want to just rip your pants off and have me fuck you right now, don't you? Ethan Hunt, you..." Her words were cut off by Ethan, followed by an endless stream of suppressed moans. I hung up and went straight back to the hotel. I took out my phone, switched to my burner account, and sent a message to Victoria. "I have the video of you two in bed and the audio recording from the dressing room. 80 million. Let me know when you've decided." I didn't get a reply until that evening, just before I boarded my flight. "The price is too high. Is there any room for negotiation?" 80 million was her entire net worth. I knew she wouldn't agree, but my tone remained firm. "No negotiation. If this leaks, it will destroy both of your careers. If you two bought this information to sell, you could get double this amount." A few minutes passed before she replied, "Fine. I need to see the material first." I smiled and started typing. "Don't worry. I guarantee you'll see it when you get home in a few days after you finish filming." After sending that last message, I decisively turned off my phone. I got home around 2 in the morning. A call from Victoria came through. "Honey, I'm so sorry. Today was just so busy I didn't even get to see you off. Are you home safe?" As she was speaking, Ethan's voice suddenly came through from her end. "Babe, this lingerie is so sexy. Hurry up and put it on for me." The line went dead. A minute later, she called back. "Honey, my assistant was watching TV in the room. It was too loud. I sent her out." I looked at the photo on my phone of the two of them wearing erotic lingerie and replied flatly, "Get some rest." Then I hung up. 3 days later, I had packed up everything in the house that belonged to her and stacked it in a corner. The enormous wedding portrait on the wall had been cut into shreds and placed in a box. On the table, I left a USB drive and a set of divorce papers. After finishing all this, I left the house. Hiding in my car, I watched her car pull into the neighborhood, and then I silently turned on the home security cameras. On the monitor, I saw her insert the USB drive into her computer with trembling hands, followed by a wild, desperate scream. She knocked over and destroyed all the boxes of her things that I had so neatly packed for her. A moment later, my phone rang. "Sincere Morgan, where are you sitting in my car?" I lit a cigarette. "Victoria, you said you'd pay after you saw the goods, didn't you? So what do you think? Is that material worth your entire fortune? What do you mean? You're the one who was sending me those messages? You're despicable. I let out a cold laugh. When it comes to being despicable, I think you and Ethan Hunt are in a league of your own. In your dreams, I can sue you for extortion, I replied calmly. If I sue for divorce, your adultery during the marriage means you'll leave with nothing anyway. But you should think carefully. In that case, you won't just lose your fortune, you'll lose your future. I'm giving you 3 days, sign the divorce papers and move out of my house. My lawyer will contact you about the rest. With that, I hung up the phone without a shred of mercy. I then blocked her on all platforms. Because she had just won a major acting award, the media and her fans were paying close attention to her. The moment I unfollowed her on social media, the topic shot to the top of the trending list. Victoria Sterling's perfect marriage crumbles. Husband unfollows. Divorce suspected. The haters who had been waiting for this moment finally had their chance to strike. They flooded the comments section with proof, claiming her entire persona was fake. Some even said I was just an actor she hired to play the role of a doting husband. The story fermented all day until that evening, when she could no longer stay silent and finally responded. First, her studio issued a statement denying the rumors. Then, she posted a video on her own social media account. In the video, she was sitting on a sofa with a man in a mask. They lovingly held up their hands to the camera, showing off their wedding rings. Victoria spoke with a smile. "I'm so sorry for taking up public resources with such a small matter. My husband unfollowed me by accident, and I've already scolded him for it. My husband hates being on camera, but today, after seeing all the malicious speculation, he insisted on recording this video with me to clarify things. So, how could a husband who loves me this much possibly want to divorce me? We've been in love since college. Anyone who knows us knows how strong our bond is. Thank you all for your concern. We will continue to live happily ever after." As she spoke, Victoria even planted a kiss on the masked man's cheek. The video ended there, but a fire of rage was building inside me. The masked man was clearly Ethan Hunt, and he was wearing my clothes and the wedding ring I had left at home. Even worse, they had filmed the video in my house. Although the deed to that house was in both of our names, I had paid for everything from the down payment to the mortgage. What right did they have? Chapter 5. I was trembling with anger. I immediately pulled up the live feed from my home security cameras. I watched as the two of them, unable to wait any longer, started rolling around on the sofa. Afterward, they lay naked in the master bedroom. "Ethan Hunt," Victoria said, "if it weren't for what you did, my husband never would have found out. Let's just say a proper goodbye today. Don't contact me again. I'm going to ask the company to assign me a new manager." Ethan immediately pinned her beneath him, one hand caressing her skin. "He treated you like this, and you still want to stay with him?" Victoria closed her eyes, enjoying his touch. "I love him," she said. "I won't give up on him." Ethan sat up, feigning a wounded expression. "Then what about me? What does our time together mean to you? Can't you feel my love for you at all? I sent him those things because I love you so much. I wanted to keep you by my side, to make you mine and mine alone. Victoria, I love you. I can't bear to leave you." As he spoke, 2 lines of tears actually rolled down his cheeks. Victoria quickly pulled him into her arms to comfort him. "I know you love me, but didn't we agree from the start? We would just keep it physical. You know I have very strong desires, and he and I are apart so often. That's why I was with you. No, I don't believe you feel nothing for me. Victoria, get a divorce. Can't we just be together? In this whole world, only I can satisfy your desires. Are you really willing to give me up? But if I agree to the divorce, I'll have nothing left. Don't worry, leave it to me." With that, their eyes met, and the spark of lust ignited between them once more. I saved all the evidence and turned off my phone. Chapter 6. 3 days later, an unknown number called me. When I answered, I heard that familiar voice. "Honey, I know I was wrong. Please, will you come back?" I cut off her apology, my voice cold. "If this isn't about the divorce, please don't contact me again. I was about to hang up, but she stopped me. Please, don't hang up. I know what I did was unforgivable. Since you've decided on a divorce, can you just let me see you one last time? I'm waiting for you at home. I thought about it and agreed. For the past 3 days, since she couldn't find me, she had started harassing everyone around me. She called my parents overseas, called my friends, and even showed up at my office to wait for me. I didn't want to cause any more trouble for the people in my life. Half an hour later, I was back at the house. I found that all of her things, which I had packed away, were back in their original places, except for the massive wedding portrait. The moment I walked in, she came over crying, took my hand, and led me to the sofa. Honey, I miss you so much. Please, just give me one more chance. I coldly pulled my hand away. I'm only here to tell you to stop harassing anyone in my life. We were together for so many years, I'd rather not end this on an ugly note. She ignored my warning and picked up a small box from the coffee table, opening it in front of me. Inside was a stack of tickets. Do you remember these? After we graduated from college, you traveled all over the country with me for interviews and auditions. These are all our round-trip tickets. Back then, you felt so bad for me, worried I'd get tired on the slow overnight coach trains, so you scrimped and saved to buy me tickets for the express train. Then she took out a stack of photos. In them, we were smiling so happily. When we got married, we didn't have money for a professional wedding photo shoot. You spent $150 to rent a wedding dress and asked a classmate to take these pictures for us with a point-and-shoot camera. Back then, you held my hand and said you would never let go. Do you remember? She picked up every item on the table, one by one, reminiscing. My heart ached and I almost shed a tear. We used to be so happy. She wasn't like this before. I remembered in college a rich suitor was pursuing her, but she wouldn't even give him the time of day. When he became too persistent, she simply kissed me right in front of him without a moment's hesitation. The guy held a grudge and started spreading vicious rumors about her around campus. But she didn't care at all. She told me, "Sincere Morgan, no matter who pursues me in this life, I will always choose you, without a doubt." Now, that vow, which we both thought was as solid as rock, had been so easily shattered. Seeing the change in my expression, she seized the opportunity to continue. "Let's not get a divorce, okay? I swear I'll never do something like that again. I'll never see Ethan Hunt again. Please." I laughed, a self-mocking sound. "You also swore you would only love me for the rest of your life, but you broke that promise, didn't you? So what credibility does your oath have now?" "Honey, I didn't break my promise. I really do love you. In my heart, it's always been you. It was only my body that cheated, but my heart has always been yours." The disgusting images flooded my mind again and my anger flared. I swept everything off the coffee table, sending it crashing to the floor. "Are you even listening to yourself? You make me sick. Get out of my house now." I never expected that she would suddenly drop to her knees and cling to my leg. "After all our years together, why can't you forgive me just this once? What do I have to do to make you not divorce me?" I forcefully pulled my leg free. "I want you to leave with nothing." Chapter 7. Seeing my resolute attitude, her demeanor suddenly changed. She snarled at me viciously. "You wish I earned all this money through years of hard work. Why should I give it to you if you insist on this? Then don't blame me for taking you down with me." I couldn't be bothered to argue with her anymore and slammed the door on my way out. Once outside, I called my lawyer and told him to prepare the divorce litigation. That evening, my mood was foul. I went alone to a small bar I used to frequent for a drink. Perhaps because of my state of mind, I felt dizzy after just a few glasses. Just then, a scantily clad, beautiful woman walked over and placed a hand on my shoulder. "Hey, handsome, you look like you've had a bit too much. Want me to take you home?" My vision started to blur, and my body felt like it was losing all its strength. She easily helped me up, her arm around my waist, and slowly led me out of the bar. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying naked on a hotel bed, my head splitting. Sunlight peeked through the curtains, jarring my eyes and snapping me to full awareness. I suddenly realized I had been drugged at this critical juncture. The only people who would do something like this were Victoria and Ethan Hunt. I grabbed my phone, about to call and confront them, but I saw countless messages, all from my assistant. "Sincere, you have to see what's trending." I immediately clicked the link he sent. A cold sweat broke out all over me. A list actress's husband's years-long affair exposed. Mistress steps forward after abuse to expose his crimes. There were photos of the strange woman from last night helping me into a car, and photos of us naked together on the hotel bed. The second trending topic was a long post from that woman's account, a diatribe against me. "I am now coming forward to publicly accuse Sincere Morgan, husband of the actress Victoria Sterling, of not only cheating on her, but also of domestic abuse against me. We have been together for 3 years. He would come to me whenever his wife was out of town, sweet-talking me, telling me he loved me. But I never imagined he was into sexual abuse." The rest of her post was even more vile, painting me as the scum of the earth. Soon after, Victoria also posted a video on her social media account. In the video, she put on a tearful performance, perfectly embodying the role of a wronged wife. "I'm so sorry. The truth is, when he unfollowed me a few days ago, it was because he wanted a divorce. He even used a burner account, pretending to be a paparazzo, to try and extort $80 million from me." She held her phone up to the camera, showing all the chat logs between my burner account and her. He said he suspected I was cheating with my manager and demanded that I leave the marriage with nothing. Out of respect for our many years together, I kept trying to explain I didn't want to get divorced, but I never imagined that he was the one who was cheating all along. I gave him my whole heart when I was just 18, and to think he would betray me like this. I just can't find any more excuses to forgive him. Here and now I am announcing that I will immediately file for divorce and ensure he leaves with nothing. Goodbye to the man I loved most. At the end of the video, she was sobbing uncontrollably. She instantly garnered the sympathy of all netizens, while I was being vilified beyond recognition. Next, all of my company's social media accounts were attacked. The entrance to my office was splattered with chicken blood and all sorts of filth. Some netizens even doxed my parents, making international calls to curse them out for failing to raise their son properly. Chapter 8. Faced with all this, I could only shake my head in disappointment. I never thought the woman who had professed to love me forever, who had begged me not to leave her, could become so vicious. Having been in the media and PR world for so many years, I knew exactly what Ethan Hunt's goal was with this strategy. Right now, public opinion was completely on their side. If I released the evidence of their affair under these circumstances, absolutely no one would believe me. Even if the court ordered her to leave with nothing, the public would still believe she was the victim. This way, she not only saved her career but also gained a massive wave of traffic and sympathy. She could earn back that $80 million in no time. It was a brilliant plan. No matter what, they would be the ultimate winners. My reputation would be utterly destroyed. I would lose everything and be forever despised. But they forgot one thing. When it comes to media manipulation and guiding public opinion, I'm the professional. If it hadn't been for my company constantly creating buzz for Victoria, how would she have achieved the fame she has today? I had hoped for a dignified end, but now it was clear that was no longer necessary. So they had better prepare themselves to receive my grand gift. I ignored all the online chatter. I even had my staff hire a troll army to add more fuel to the fire. The controversy reached its absolute peak. A week later, a bombshell story appeared on the trending topics. Stunning reversal in a list actress's husband's cheating scandal in it. The first thing to appear was a video statement from Jessica, the beautiful woman I met at the bar. First, I want to state that I did not know Mr. Morgan before this, and the claims of an affair and abuse are completely false. I want to apologize to Mr. Sincere Morgan. I maliciously slandered him. I have spoken with Mr. Morgan about this matter. He is a genuinely good person and has already provided me with a letter of forgiveness, agreeing not to press charges. I feel incredibly guilty, so I want to tell the whole truth here on Mr. Morgan's behalf. The fact is, I am also a victim. 10 days ago, Victoria Sterling's manager, Ethan Hunt, approached me. He said if I did as he said, he could help me get into the entertainment industry. I was too naive, and I believed him. That night at the bar, it was Ethan Hunt who told me to approach Mr. Morgan and deliberately act intimately so he could take those pictures. The reason Mr. Morgan didn't resist at all was because he had been drugged, and the person who drugged him was also hired by Ethan Hunt. Below are Mr. Morgan's lab results and the security footage of him being drugged. The day I realized I had been drugged, I immediately went to the hospital for tests and preserved the evidence. At the same time, I sent my people to the bar to get the security footage. Using the video, they found the man who administered the drug an addict who confessed everything for $500. Also, all the content posted on my social media was not written or sent by me. Ethan Hunt was operating that account. Here are the complete chat logs of him asking for my account details. She then displayed screenshot after screenshot of their chat history for the camera. Mr. Morgan is a truly good person. Even though I made a mistake, he spoke to me respectfully, without a hint of blame. For that, I want to seek justice for him. I solemnly declare that I am willing to take full legal responsibility for everything I have said above. Watching her video, I smiled with satisfaction. I had contacted her just a few days after the incident. At first, she was unwilling to tell the truth. But when I laid out all the PR campaigns and strategies I had used to make Victoria Sterling famous, she was tempted. Ethan Hunt is not going to keep his promise, I told her. Besides, he's about to be kicked out of this industry. If you're willing to tell the truth, I can introduce you to a good entertainment company right now and promise to make you a star. When she seemed skeptical, I showed her the evidence I had of Victoria's affair with Ethan. If this gets out, I asked, do you really think he can survive in this industry? After seeing it, she immediately agreed. Chapter 9. This was only the beginning, but Ethan Hunt was already losing his composure. He actually contacted me himself. In a private room, Ethan Hunt, his eyes bloodshot, demanded, "Sincere Morgan, what do you want?" I smiled and tapped my finger on the table. It's simple. Have Victoria Sterling divorce me immediately and leave with nothing. If she agrees, I can also provide you with a letter of forgiveness and not press charges. And she can claim she was deceived by that woman, Jessica, which is why she thought I was cheating. That way, with a little PR spin, you two can continue to work in this industry. You'll make back the $80 million soon enough. But if you want to keep fighting me, I continued, considering the current tide of public opinion, what do you think will happen when I release the evidence of your affair online? Do you think the public and her sponsors will believe me? Sure enough, the very next day, Victoria Sterling signed the divorce papers and all the money was transferred to my account. When I returned home, there was no trace of her left. Victoria was standing at the door, holding her last piece of luggage, looking at me with pure hatred. Sincere Morgan, I must have been blind to have been with a ruthless man like you for so many years. I sneered. When it comes to being ruthless, I'm no match for you. You were the one in the wrong, yet you stooped to such methods to deal with me. Victoria, you said you loved me, but when I tried to give you a dignified exit and discuss the divorce reasonably, you couldn't part with your $80 million. Now, to get me to issue a letter of forgiveness for Ethan Hunt, you signed away everything without a moment's hesitation. Your love is nothing but a lie to me. She stomped her foot in fury and screamed, "So what if you don't want my love? Someone else does. Ethan Hunt understands me better than you. He loves me more than you, Sincere Morgan. Losing me is your loss. Don't you dare regret it with that." She grabbed her suitcase and disappeared from my sight. I went back into the house, threw out all the bed sheets, and disinfected every surface they had touched with a copious amount of alcohol. After finishing, I settled comfortably into my rocking chair and called my assistant. Release the second wave. Within 5 minutes, the entire social media landscape exploded again. All the videos and audio recordings of Victoria's affair with Ethan Hunt appeared online. Although the explicit parts were censored, their obscene actions were still clearly visible. Soon, various sponsors and brands posted statements on their platforms announcing the termination of their contracts with Victoria Sterling. Even more netizens began posting photos they had secretly taken of the two of them holding hands. The comment section was a torrent of abuse, so disgusting she cheated and then twisted the facts.
Why is someone like her an award-winning actress?
She should be making porn. It would be a bestseller with moves that shameless that night. No one slept. Chapter 10. The next day, Victoria pounded furiously on my front door. The moment I opened it, she lunged to strike me but was firmly restrained by the bodyguard standing behind me. I knew you'd retaliate, so I came prepared, I said calmly. Struggling in vain, Victoria started screaming insults. You bastard, you said you wouldn't release the evidence after the divorce, you're a liar. Why did you have to ruin me? If you weren't so obsessed with your work and actually spent time with me, would I have had to go sleep with someone else? This is all your fault. I listened quietly as she vented her rage, then spoke in a leisurely tone. You've misunderstood. After all, we were married for so many years. I was just helping you test your new lover's true feelings. Now that your future is completely ruined, and you're facing massive lawsuits for damages, do you think Ethan Hunt will still love you? She replied without hesitation. Of course he loves me the most. He's not despicable like you. Her foolishness made me laugh. What does he love about you? That you're a 30-year-old hag, or that you're a penniless bum? Don't tell me it's your charming personality. I'm not seeing much charm in you right now. You're full of it. You don't understand his feelings for me. Oh, well, you'd better hurry back and see. You wouldn't want him to run off before you can find him. My words made her freeze. Then she shot back at me. I'll prove it to you. He loves me more than you ever did with that. She turned and ran off without a backward glance. At Ethan Hunt's apartment, the first thing Victoria saw as she burst in was him at the door with 2 large suitcases, about to leave. Ethan, what are you doing? You're leaving, right? Where are you taking me? The next second, Ethan slapped her hard across the face. You bitch, why the hell would I take you with me? Victoria clutched her face in disbelief. What do you mean? You said you loved me. Are you just going to abandon me and leave by yourself? You said you couldn't live without me, that we'd live happily for the rest of our lives. Were all those words lies? Ethan Hunt gritted his teeth and kicked her hard in the stomach. If it wasn't for the money, who the fuck would want to serve an old hag like you? I'm young, handsome, and great in bed. I have young girls throwing themselves at me. What the hell are you? If it wasn't for you, would I be in this mess today? You ruined me. I should be praised for my mercy in not killing you. You can deal with your massive debts yourself. Don't you dare drag me into it, you tramp. Still not satisfied, he unleashed a barrage of punches and kicks on her. Only after venting his rage did he pick up his suitcases and head for the door. He didn't expect to be blocked by 4 or 5 large, menacing-looking men. They looked like thugs, and their leader wore a thick gold chain. Before a word was spoken, one of them kicked out, sending Ethan flying 2 meters back. Damn it, you owe me $50 million in gambling debts and you think you can just run? Didn't you say you could get the money from this broad? Where is it? Her career is toast. Where are you going to get the money now? Ethan immediately dropped to his knees, terrified, and begged for mercy. No, it's a misunderstanding, a total misunderstanding. I wasn't trying to run. I was just going out to figure out a way to get the money to pay you back. I swear, trying to play me for a fool? Get him at the command. The 4 or 5 thugs swarmed Ethan, kicking him relentlessly. Within minutes he was a bloody mess, lying motionless on the ground. At that moment the leader, the shark, glanced over at Victoria, still curled up on the floor. He reached down and pinched her face. This broad, she's old but not bad-looking. She'll fetch a good price. Take her, Victoria shrieked in terror, frantically trying to explain. I have nothing to do with Ethan Hunt. If you want money, go to him, not me, please. I'm begging you, but the man ignored her, just spat a vicious threat at Ethan. Whatever we get for the broad will count as 1 month's interest. You have 1 month to pay back the rest. Otherwise, don't blame me for throwing you in the ocean to feed the fish with that. The men dragged the wailing Victoria away, and I stepped out from my hiding spot in the corner. I didn't step forward to stop them. After all, these were the people I had called. Victoria, since you have such strong needs, I hope you enjoy the life that's coming to you.